Let's talk a little bit about the Cy Young and maybe figure out whether or not this gentleman, a reliever, could win himself that coveted pitching award. The Baseball Writers Association of America has decided that there will be a brand new Reliever of the Year award voted on by them every year. That is exciting for many reasons. And relievers are getting more love than they would normally get, which I love. But that got me thinking. This gentleman, who is having quite the year for a reliever, could be potentially in the running for the other biggest prize that is out there for pitchers, the Cy Young Award. As you know, this traditionally goes to a starting pitcher because, one, they throw way more innings, they affect way more games, and it's so very hard to be as valuable as a closer as a starter would be. But this is not without precedent, okay? This has happened before. The two most recent examples of this are these two gentlemen. 1992, Dennis Eckersley took it home for the Oakland Athletics. And in 2003, probably the most famous example, Eric Gagne won it for the LA Dodgers over two guys you may have heard of, Mark Pryor and Jason Schmidt. Jason Schmidt is interesting for another reason, which we'll talk about in just a minute. So, Aroldis Chapman, he is probably far and away right now the most dominant guy, at least dominant, maybe the most reliable back-end bullpen guy in both leagues, okay? If you would have told me this going in March, I probably would have said you're crazy, but there's no denying that he is absolutely filthy. Since July 23rd, which was the last time he gave up a hit, he has faced 50 straight hitters without allowing a hit. 50. So just to put that in perspective, that's almost 2 games, 16.2 innings without giving up a hit. Back-to-back no-hitters as a closer. And this isn't just, you're a starter and you get going on a roll. You can do that all in one day. This is getting up and down for over almost 6 weeks and not giving up a hit. Now, that is a all-time record for anyone facing that many hitters in a row without giving up a hit. Actually, I believe for relievers. I think it's a reliever. I'll get fact check on this probably. So either way, very impressive. It is a record, one of the two. If it's just reliever, still impressive. But in that time, he's thrown 201 pitches, struck out 21 in 17 appearances. So 17 times he has gotten up, slept, pitched again later, and still didn't give up a hit. And it's one of the biggest reasons that I'm even having this conversation with you at all. Now, you may be asking yourself, wow, how after 16 years, because this is his 16th year in the major leagues, the man is 37 years old, and he has been in the major leagues for almost over a decade and a half, which is already impressive on top. But why is it right now he is the best version of himself? Because this isn't usually how aging goes. He's hit 102 miles an hour this year. That is insane. That's insane. I'm 35. I'm trying to throw 100. I'm struggling to hit 95. So for this guy to do this, I'm obviously speechless. But there is one big reason that he has been as effective as he has. So recently was doom scrolling through the old internet, as most of us do, and I came upon this post, which this is from Reddit, but it was a post from Pitching Ninja, where Buster Olney was on his show. They were having a conversation about Aroldis Chapman, where he told this story. A spring training pitch called by Connor Wong over PitchCom for an inside fastball made Chapman realize he's always fired his 100 mile an hour stuff and trusted the velocity, never looking to locate it at all, just to throw it towards that box that you see on TV. So, in layman's terms, he's never thought to aim. He just threw it for a strike. So this is the difference. We talked about this a lot. This is the difference between command and control. He wanted control. When he came up, he was a starter. So here's where I think this mindset came from. He was so electric at that time when he first came up 16 years ago in 2009. This is before everyone was throwing 1 billion miles an hour too, so he was even more of a crazy person. At that time, they were trying to make him a starter when he was with the Cincinnati Reds. When that happened, back in the day, or back about that time, because I was also playing pro ball, coaches tended to say, hey man, don't worry so much about being pinpoint and just worry about getting the ball over the plate. He took that and he ran with it. And then he had success. And then he just kept doing that forever. And only recently he's had to think about, wow, maybe I got to locate a little bit better, or the just throw to the plate isn't working. Then Connor Wong brought him back with a simple button on a pitch comp. I was out there doing freaking calculus and geometry just to get a guy out. And this gentleman has been saying strike to his head. That's it. That just goes to show you, guys like Aroldis Chapman and Shohei Ohtani, some people are just freaks. Some people are just better than us. Maybe some people are just better. And so the key to his success this year, to giving up no hits in 50 hitters, has been trying to locate, which just makes me want to puke, frankly. So that's just something I needed to bring up. But what I really want to do is look back at whether or not he can win the Cy Young and use one of the precedents we talked about before, Eric Gagne, to see how that year, 2003, compared with this year and the value that this gentleman is adding to his team and what Gagne added to the Dodgers. And what it comes down to, and what a lot of these things come down to, especially when it comes to award, is the stories. What is going on in the game that makes choosing that guy to be that, win that award so compelling? When you're putting a starter versus a reliever, what makes that reliever such a hard guy to vote against? That is what we come down to. And I think we just may have one of those situations happening. And I think that Aroldis Chapman just may be our Cy Young. Let me explain, okay? So let's talk a little bit about 2003 and this gentleman, Eric Gagne, okay? Eric Gagne beat out Mark Pryor, as I mentioned before, who was with the Cubs at the time. And he beat out Jason Schmidt, who was with the San Francisco Giants, who would later sign with the LA Dodgers. And he is also an alumni of my alma mater, Kelso High School. We're the two major league pitchers ever from the school, which just so happens he's from the same small town in Washington that I'm from. So go figure. Coincidence? Yes, it definitely is a coincidence. Okay, so let's compare. Let's go look at this guy's stat line and see what he did and why they gave it to him that year. Okay, so this is Eric Gagne in 2023. He was 2-3, whatever. Relievers don't care about that. With a 1.2 ERA, but he was 55 for 55 in save opportunities. This is going to be the big thing. So just hold that in your head. He threw 82 innings. He struck out 137. That's incredible. And he had a .692 whip, and he struck out 15 per 9. So all of those things combined are just dominance, okay? Striking out 15 per 9 is ridiculous. Right now, Aroldis Chapman is at 13.25. That's also very high, but 15's like, that's 2022 Edwin Diaz, okay? But the big thing here is 82 innings and the 137 strikeout number. Relievers just aren't going to get to that number because we just are never throw that many innings. It's just not smart to do so, okay? And Gagne, there's an argument to be made that because he threw so many innings for this 3-year stretch, because he was 27 when he won this, from when he was 26 to 28, from 02 to 04, he threw so many innings that after that, he just wasn't effective. I think he got like 16 saves for the rest of his career. But the big reason he won the Cy Young that year is because of this saves number right here. 55 for 55. So why is that significant?
FT fam, let's talk about Fair Harbor. And if you're listening, I hope that you watch this conversation at some point because we're doing show and tell, Kratz. Shorts, they can be used as a bathing suit. And the liner, which we call butter, is the game breaker. It's the playmaker because it's different.
You've worn shorts that are not like this, and the liner sucks. They are buttery On your butt.
I just came up with something for them. Your liner sucks. Get Fair Harbor liner. Seriously, give it a shot. I'm not just saying this. The butter analogy plays. And FT fam, you know we're hooking you up. fairharborclothing.com/foul. 20% off when you use the code FOUL on your first purchase. Once again, that's fairharborclothing.com/FOUL for 20% off your first purchase and use promo code FOUL.
One, that is the first time in history anyone with more than 20 saves has been perfect in save opportunities. And he did it 55 times. So he set an all-time record in something, and it happened to be save opportunities and saves converted being the same number. No one had ever done it. Now, since that time, 3 more gentlemen have done it. Jose Valverde did it in 2011. We've had Brad Lidge did it in 2008. And we had more recently, Zach Britton did it, I believe, in 18. So we've had 3 more guys do it since, but nobody's ever gotten 55 perfect. I believe those other numbers were in the 40s. Still very impressive, but this is still the record to this day. So he set an all-time record. That's very important, okay? Now let's look at Mark Pryor and Jason Schmidt, who he beat out, because this is important. This is going to come up, okay? So this is Mark Pryor. He went 18-6. He had a 2.43. He had 211 innings thrown, 245 strikeouts, a 1-1 whip. He walked a few more guys and actually gave up a little bit more hits than you would think, and had a 7.4 WAR. Now, we don't compare WAR because relievers, I bet you Gagne had like a 3-1 WAR that year. So this doesn't compare. You just can't compare WAR across those 2 different pitching roles. It's impossible. It shouldn't factor in, and that's going to be important one going back to Chapman. Okay, let's look at Schmidt. So this is Jason Schmidt. He was 17-5. He led all pitchers with the 2.34 ERA. He threw 207.2 innings, but he had 208 strikeouts. Not as dominant as Pryor. So I don't disagree with the order in which these guys went 1, 2, and 3. The WHIP was a sub-1, also the lowest in the league, and he had 7.7 WAR, which good for him. He also was the ace for a first-place San Francisco Giants team that won 100 games. That's also important. Okay. But it didn't seem to really make a difference this year because Eric Gagne got 24 of the 32 first votes, for number 1 votes, first place. Like, he won easy. It wasn't close, right? Wasn't even close, which is amazing to the point where I was like, the save thing can't be that big of a deal. So here's the reasons why I think they decided to go with him. 1, he was completely dominant, struck out 2 per inning, okay? So, like, he comes in the game, not only is he going to end it, there's strikeouts galore, right? Strikeouts in a time where 9 per 9, 1 per inning was high. So, like, outside of, like, Randy Johnson and, like, Roger Clemens, like, and Pedro, like, there wasn't guys dominant like this. This was dominant at a level that no one had seen before. He's the first ever to do something like go 55 for 55, but the Dodgers only won 85 games that year. So he saved 55 of his team's 85 wins. That's 65% of their total wins were saved by this guy. So when a team can't score runs and is just trying to go 85 and 77, if you got a closer who converts every single time for almost 60 games, the value to that team is insane. And I think that is another huge reason. Like, they're looking at how valuable is this guy to his team. Very valuable, because they didn't even make the playoffs. The Dodgers didn't make the playoffs this year. And like I mentioned before, the other 2 teams both won their divisions. The Cubs with Pryor and San Francisco with Schmidt, they both won their divisions. Okay? Interestingly enough, Mark Pryor, the second place guy, ended the season after July 1st. He was 10-1 with a 1.5 and still lost it to Gagne. So that's the big controversy at this point. Not only did he have a great year, he was so incredible going up, because it does matter how you end on the voting. Okay, so he was getting chased, and they decided to go with Gagne because the story of setting the record and being that dominant for that long, that story was just more compelling. It was also something different. It had been a while. It had been 11 years since a reliever won it. So those two things combined come together to kind of create the perfect storm to have a reliever win it. And I think we have that same situation happening this year. So let's get into that. Let's talk a little bit why I think Chapman might be able to do it this year, even though the numbers will be a little bit different because relievers are protected a little bit more than have been. So let's talk about Aroldis Chapman and what his year has looked like so far this year. Okay, so as of right now, he's still on his hitless streak. He is 4-2. He's got a .98 ERA, 57 innings. Again, he's not going to get to 82. There's not enough time. But he's only given up 21 hits. He's got a .64 whip, which is better than Gagne's. And hitters are hitting 113 against him. He struck out 87, but he's 29 for 31 saves. So these two numbers are lower than Gagne, not even comparable. But he has converted, and he's converted a bunch in a row, obviously. And his strikeout numbers are higher. Okay, but there are some thresholds I think we need to hit before. Once again, there's two starting pitchers that are in the running for this award. Okay, two main guys in the front runners, and they have been pretty much all year. Okay, we got Tarek Skubal, and we got Aroldis Chapman's teammate, Garrett Crochet. Now let's go look at their numbers and see how they compare. So this is Tarek Skubal, 13-4. He's got a 2.1. That's pretty good. He's at 180 innings pitched. He's on pace for 205, 126 hits allowed, 195 batting average against, and 222 strikeouts for 11.1 K per nine. Very, very dominant. We all know Skubal's been exceptionally dominant. His team is also in first place, but he's just kind of been doing it all year, and he won the Cy Young last year. That's going to be important. Crochet, on the other hand, is 15-5 with a 2.57 ERA. In terms of ERA, he's half a run behind, but innings, almost the same. They're on pace for almost the same amount of innings. He's given up a little more hits, batting average a little higher, but strikeouts is about the same as well. So in this context, I would say Tarek Skubal's got a nice buffer on Crochet because he's just a little bit better in every category. That said, though, Crochet is a very solid third place. The problem is he's on the same team as Aroldis Chapman. So in order for things to happen for Chapman in a way that would get him more in the running for the Cy Young, Garrett Crochet would probably have to throw well also, right? So let's talk a little bit about what would need to happen, because I've written down some things that I think needs to happen in order for Aroldis Chapman to be considered to win this award. All right? And we might have a perfect storm on our hands. So this is my hypothetical situation to get Aroldis Chapman to Cy Young. The Red Sox are currently in third place, but they're only in the East, but I believe they're one game behind the Yankees, or tied even, because I believe they won and lost. I did this 2 days ago. I prepared this. So they're very close to the Yankees. That can flip either way. And then both teams are only a couple games behind the Blue Jays, and they play each other again. So there's a legitimate chance that the Red Sox can make a run here, but they need to either take second in their division and end really strong, or they need to win their division, and they need to do it while Aroldis Chapman saves at least 6 more games. He needs 35 saves. He needs 35 saves, and he needs about at least 68 appearances. We got to get our innings up to like 65. We got to get to 65 innings. If we don't get to 65 innings, we're not going to be enough. So a lot of things need to happen there, but it's entirely doable. I believe there's 17 games left. So they're in a race. They want to solidify. They're going to throw him whenever he gets a chance. He's been rested lately, so this is entirely possible. If he continues his streak, that'll just sweeten this pie even more. So if Aroldis Chapman finishes this year not having allowed a hit since July 23rd, basically since coming back from the All-Star break, if you can say, I didn't give up a hit in the second half, that may just push him to the front of this pile because the story is just too juicy. You combine that with the fact that Tarek Skubal already won one last year, there might just be enough voter fatigue to have him sneak in to the conversation, and it could happen very quickly. Think about it like a presidential race or something when a candidate comes out of nowhere. Like, it could be one of those situations because that narrative, not giving up a hit for months as a reliever, is so rare and so unique and so unprecedented that could just get enough writers talking about it, which could then sway the narrative in his direction. But I also think he needs to get triple-digit strikeouts. That's a no-brainer. If he gets those 6 saves, though, that'll probably take care of itself. And I know the playoffs aren't supposed to factor in. I know we're not supposed to bring that in when it comes to Cy Youngs and MVPs and stuff. But they do. They just do. Just trust me. They do. Okay? It's hard not to watch these things. So if the Red Sox push through deep into the playoffs and he continues his dominance, that can only sweeten that deal, or at least keep him in the consciousness of baseball fans so that they're calling for him to win something amazing, because he would be seen as such a big part of their run. Okay, so if he can do that, it would help it a little bit. Skubal might need to struggle one outing or two. That would probably really bring it closer, but not necessarily, the most important thing, because honestly, the Tigers have been about 500 over the last 60 games, 70 games, right? They've been fine, and he's been really good, but there's just not a lot of excitement. He's just kind of rinse and repeating, and when that's happening in the year, and you have a guy coming hard from behind, that was a weird way to phrase that. Get your head out of the gutter. Just know that might get people more excited about him, okay? So, I think because Skubal won it last year, and if Chapman can do something a little bit extra special in this last 3 weeks of the season, finishing without giving up a hit or just a couple hits, getting 6 more saves, and getting to 100 strikeouts, he just might be able to sneak in. And for me, is Aroldis Chapman my Cy Young if all that happens? Sure. Reliever till I die, baby. Let's go. Give it to the man. He's 37 years old, decided to have command for the first time in his career, and it is paying dividends. But as always, let me know what you guys think, because I'm sure you think a lot of stuff right now. But I just, it's exciting. This is what baseball is all about. This is all I want. This is all I want to happen. I want it to happen so bad. Relievers forever.